Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Make Music Days live stream. I'm Jack. Hi. Today we're celebrating music worldwide. And on this live stream, I'm well lucky because I'm going to interview a guy called Gio Arlotto, who is the director and co-founder of his own documentary called We Intend to Cause Havoc. It tells the story of Jaggery, who's the lead singer of the most famous rock band in Zambia in the 70s. The band is so good, and I'm so excited to speak to him. And I think with the power of magic, we can welcome him in now. Hello, Gio. Are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Hi, Jack.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm glad that you're wearing orange. You've kept to the color scheme today.
Yeah.
And nice posters in the background as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I've noticed you've got a guitar as well. Are you play music yourself?
A little bit. I prefer listening to people that play it better than I do. But
yeah,
I dabble here and there.
Okay, so I mean, first of all, the documentary is amazing. Just a little bit about it. Why don't you just give me a kind of like a flavor of what the documentary is about?
Well, the documentary is about obviously Jaggery Chanda, who is the lead singer of which, as you said, were the most popular rock band in Zambia in the 70s. And it's partly about the music from Zambia in the 70s, partly about the country, and partly about his life, his personal life, and then the rebirth of his music that happened in the last, 10 years. Partially thanks to reissues and partially thanks to the documentary, because while we were making the documentary, we kind of got new musicians involved. It must be said that Jaggery is the last surviving member of the original formation of Which, because the country, to put it lightly, they were hippies in the 70s, like everything else was everywhere. So they practiced free love. The problem was that then AIDS hit Zambia pretty hard. One of the worst hit countries. So by the 90s, of such a large music scene, about only 10% still survive. So Jaggery was left alone from his group, but the music lived on. And with some musicians from Europe, like Jaco Gardner and Nick Malskovich, we traveled to Zambia and kind of like performed some songs with Jaggery, and then made a concert there, and then got him to play in Europe. And we did a European tour, which went really well. And then that was followed by another tour and a US tour and so on. Yeah.
Was it always your intention when you first met him to make a documentary?
Well, the thing is, like, when I first met him, I thought like, I had a blog where I was making some acoustic sessions of bands that I liked. And I was like, it'd be really cool to have him play the song Strange Dream, which is one of my favorite songs from Which. And I was like, since I'm at it, I might as well ask him a few questions and try to make a short documentary and see where that takes me.
Right.
And then it took me here. It snowballed into something like way bigger than I thought. But I think that about after a year that I started the project, I was like, I've spent a year in this. I don't have any more money in my bank account. I got to make it happen now, you know?
Yeah. You've already invested.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I might as well just go take it as far as I possibly can, and luckily we got to where we are.
I can totally see why you wanted to make a documentary when you met him, because he's so charismatic and individual, and I mean, you watch scenes with him in it, and I reckon if you just went to a town and saw him in and didn't know who Jaggery was, you'd be able to spot him out. He looks like a rock star. Do you know what I mean? Like the way he dresses, the hats he wears. He's got like such a swagger about him. When you first met him, did you feel like, oh my goodness, this is really gonna work as something bigger? Did you get that feeling?
Well, when I first met him, like we were meant to meet in Kitwe, which is his hometown in the Copperbelt region of Zambia. And he's like, let's meet there in this hotel's restaurant at 11 in the morning. So I get there at 11 in the morning, and by like 1 p.m. he still hasn't shown up. And I'm like, you know what's gonna happen. And then like he just walks in with his guitar swung around his back. It's just like, like an aura around it. Like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of started from there. And then like, you know, the more I got to know him, you know, like, he's such a great guy, and like he has a very strong personality. He's very charismatic and really believes in it. So it was, you know, at times difficult to work with him, but obviously very easy in some other ways, for sure.
How did you hear about Which in the first place?
Well, very not super romantic, but like a friend of mine just sent me a song on Facebook saying like, I think you'd really like this, and I did.
How long ago was it?
This was
Before
in
you made the
2012.
doc?
This was in
Oh, so it's
2000.
fairly soon, right?
Yeah, because basically the Witch albums were reissued by Now Again Records in 2012, and I guess my friend heard it through that, and she sent it to me, and that kind of like stuck in the back of my mind as a really cool song and a really cool sound. And then in 2014, so 2 years later, I was offered to go on a cross-continental trip across Africa with some friends that did these marketing things for trucks. They're like, do you want to come along, take a few photographs and help out with a bit of the driving? And I was like, all expenses paid. And I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. And then when I found out we were going through Zambia, I was like, well, I'm probably not going to end up in Zambia again. So I might as well, try to hunt down Jaggery and do this. So that's how it kind of began.
How did you find him? Did you just Google his name and
well, no, I found an interview by this blog called It's Psychedelic Baby, and they had interviewed Jaggery. So just emailed the guy from the blog, and I was like, well, can you get me his contact? And he just sent me his email. So I emailed Jaggery. It was kind of like not so like looking for him.
Crazy finding,
easy, to be honest.
Right, and the music's amazing. Like really, I've got a few friends that know the band as well and have listened to it and love it. And it's proper like psychedelic 70s Jimi Hendrix kind of sounding rock, very Flower Power-esque. They've got the big hats as well, which you might be able to see in the posters actually, where they cover the face and it's got like a belt round the hat. Yeah, you look like a flower pot almost. Have you got one of the hats, by the way?
I do actually. I was going to say that like I'll bring it once if we show the trailer. If we show the trailer after the trailer.
And then you bring it. Love that. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I'd love because they're so. And you went to the original tailor, right?
We did. Yeah.
Okay, to recreate it. That's nice.
Exactly. Because like they had like quite a crazy style on stage, and it looked so cool. And like the hats, like when we got the hats. The first time around in Zambia, like that kind of like made them all look like a band. Then it became sort of a trademark. Like now, like we even sell it as our merch in our concerts, So it's definitely, we always wear it, and it's like the witch hat. It looks like a witch's hat, but then
it's cool, man. It's really cool. You need something to like stand out when you go on stage, and it really works. And especially with Jaggery, he's got so much swagger with the hat. It really works. It looks good. And one of the people in the documentary said that they were like the Beatles of Zambia, like that kind of size. But were they really that big?
Well, yeah, they would fill stadiums. Like there's like reports. I didn't really find any, as you saw in the film, any video footage of them back in the day. Just a couple of photographs. But I did find quite a few articles of reviews of their concerts, and like most of them were like riots outside witch shows because people couldn't get in, so they wanted to like break in through the windows or whatever. So they were really huge. You have to understand that they were also the first band that released an album in Zambia, a Zambian album. So everybody that had a turntable had a witch record, because they could actually, it wasn't like listening to, the Rolling Stones or whoever they were into. It was Witch. It was a band that they could actually go and play, and these guys took it really seriously. Like they would, they thought like, we're in a band, that's our job. So they wake up in the morning, all live together, like from 9 a.m. until like lunchtime. They would practice covers to get good at fingering or whatever, and then in the afternoons they would do their own compositions. And if somebody like didn't get the drum part right, they were not allowed to go out at night and party with the others. Like they were really like
the army almost.
Yeah, but like there's like, we got the chance to do this, let's do it properly. So they
Amazing.
really did.
Love that.
And because of that, like they were really great, and they were just like everybody, like if you speak to anybody that lived the 70s in Zambia, they will know the band. Sadly, people from the younger generations have no idea that it even happened. So that's why like I can't wait for the film to be shown in Zambia, so like they can see what like was happening there and maybe spark a new scene of Zamrock, which would be the coolest thing ever. But
that'd be sick. They play a few gigs in the documentary, and you can see there's like a whole bunch of young people that are watching it. So who knows, mate? Hopefully, I think. So I think we've got a trailer that we can play. So if anyone's watching now and you're just intrigued and you're like, what on earth are they talking about? I think we can play it right now if I just...
So which were here, right?
They were happening.
They bewitched me.
I wonder what's in here.
The high point of psychedelic garage.
His Excellency, the President of Zambia.
This is Zambia, a land of which
Which is like the Beatles of Zambia.
The craziest genre of music. A lot of people just thought there's no way that we're going to find these people.
It's like meeting Paul McCartney.
I wish the whole band was alive. I'm growing old. I find myself mining gemstones instead of making music. It can't just end here. This is a new beginning. Look at us. We used to have afros.
You've got that too.
God will ask me, I gave you talent. What did you do with it?
It's been a long wait. Good to see you. Yes,
I've not exhausted what's in me.
Hey, look at that.
There it is.
I love it.
There it is.
Nice hat, mate.
Yeah.
Great. Do you sell them? Because I'd love to get one of them. They look cool on the wall, wouldn't they? Just like hung up on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta make more because like now we had them for the last US tour and we sold out. So as soon as we're touring again, we'll have more made, and definitely they'll be up for grabs.
The trailer's great. It gets me. The music just gets you going, doesn't it? I watched the documentary last night to have a recap, and I just want to watch it again now. It's so
nice.
the whole doc, because the whole doc is basically soundtracked by Witch, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
How hard was... Sorry.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but it's soundtracked by Witch, and then there is a score as well that was played by Jaakko Gardner, and that's all made up of Witch songs, but they're just covers only done with a synthesizer. Okay. So it adds that atmosphere, but with the Witch songs. And yeah, it was hard to pick up the right songs because there's quite a lot in the catalog. But what was even harder was the fact that we had about 200 hours of footage to get an hour and a half of a film. So it was like 0.75%, and it took a year to edit and to get it right.
Crazy. When you were filming certain bits, were you like, oh, this song will work? Like, were you thinking about the music at the time you were filming? Yeah, for
sure. Like, there were definitely ideas times that were like, I mean, first of all, music was always around us anyways, but then like sometimes like, you know, I would know that like that song would fit there or whatever.
Yeah. There's one shot which I've got to ask you about because there's some moments in it where you've got a drone shot. So I'm assuming it's a drone and and they're so beautiful over Zambia. Like, and there's this one shot over this lake and it's gorgeous and the sun's setting. And you've got Jaggery with was it the first drummer, Groovy Joe?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And they're sat down by the lake and they're chatting, and the drone comes and it looks over the lake and it's gorgeous. And then they're there just like two old mates reminiscing, like looking over this, and it's just perfect. It's such a good shot. And they're chatting so naturally. Were they like just talking? You're like, no, stop talking. I need to record this. Like, wait. Like, save it. We're gonna go to the lake, then talk as much as you want. Were you like?
Well, it had to be like that because, like, obviously, like, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't caught on film that you're like, oh no, you know, like, or like, you just have to like hold on to that thought, you know, and then, you know, get the cameras rolling, and then it goes. But like,
was there anything? Go on.
So,
Go
like,
on.
there was definitely a lot of moments like that, and that one at the lake was quite nice because like that was the first time they'd seen each other in like more than 5 years, so they had a lot to catch up on. And we had hung out at Groovy Joe's house before that, and then I had been in my first research trip to that lake, which is actually was a venue where Witch used to play. They used to play in front of the lake outside at night.
Wow.
So we had decided to go there, and then they just started talking, and we started shooting.
Did they say anything that you missed in the documentary that you really wished you could get in there? Is there anything that you can remember?
Two things. One was when we were in Paris during the European tour. The backstage was on a floor above the stage with like what do you call these circular ladders? No, how do you,
spiral
staircase, yeah, coming up. And I was waiting for Jaggery after to give him a towel because it was all sweaty and whatever. And I hear him coming up the stairs, and he goes, "Jesus Christ!" I'm like, "Oh no, what's happened?" And he goes, "Thank you for this opportunity." And I was like, "Oh, it means like something right is happening." And the other one was after Liverpool Psych Fest, which was the last show of the tour. Patrick, who's the keyboard player and he was the leader of the disco Witch. After the show, like it was the biggest show we had played to date, and it was like 700 people. And Patrick is a person that lives in the UK, and he's he works in IT and with the NHS, so he has an office job. He's a grandfather. He never thought he would be on stage again.
Yeah.
And after the show, he just goes like, "This is where our parents were wrong. We should have done music to do this." I was like, "Oh man, where's my camera?"
Yeah, I bet you must be like that all the time.
Yeah.
No wonder you've got 200 hours of footage, because all the time you're just being like, feeling like I've got to record everything. Yeah,
for sure. But hey,
it's the way it is. Have you? So just quickly, because I know we're now overrunning. So you got new members of the band to form up a new band. How did you pick those guys? The drummer and the guitarist.
The Yako and Nick were the guys that came to Zambia. We are friends, and I had done videos with them, and they were getting into African music, and they approached me saying like, "Since you've traveled across Africa, we want to go to an African country, play with some musicians from the 70s, and have you come along and film that." I was like, okay, maybe Ethiopia could be cool. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm already doing this in Zambia. Why don't we just join forces?
Right.
And then after that, when we brought Jaggery to Europe, there was JJ Whitefield, the guitarist. He played with Jaggery before, because when they reissued the albums, Jaggery did a very brief tour with Ricky Lilonga, who's another Zamrocker in Europe, and he backed him up on guitar. So we obviously picked him. And then the other guitarist was just a friend of a friend that everybody told us he's a very groovy guy. So we just kind of auditioned him, and he fit perfectly. It was really amazing. And then the keyboard player, Patrick from the disco era, which was also a no-brainer because he was part of the original band.
Yeah. And they're playing gigs now? Obviously not right now.
Yeah, well, not right now, but like it's gonna. Well, as soon as this whole crazy situation is over, we'll definitely be touring again. Europe, hopefully sooner. I mean, we were meant to be right now touring in the States, but that's clearly not happening. So that's going to happen again. It's scheduled to happen in June of 2021. But before that, we hope that things will open up again and we'll be able to tour again. But also, and this is kind of a scoop, we're thinking of going into the studio to record something new with this formation.
Love it.
Let's see. We're just trying to figure out where and with who and how, but that's kind of the goal before we get touring again. So we have something new as well.
Amazing. And I know how much you valued the artwork. I know you say in the documentary, like how much the artwork was striking to you. Have you already got ideas about the artwork for this?
Well, I guess it will come as we get there, as we hear the new music and all of that,
Yeah.
But,
and so you're the manager of the band now?
I am the manager of the band too. Yeah, that's right.
You're like the coolest and best manager ever. You've decided to make a documentary about the band. Do you know what I mean? That's genius.
Well, I mean, kind of like I was the documentary maker, then I became the manager.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's worked. It's worked out well.
Yeah, it's worked for sure.
Okay, right. Quick fire questions now, just for the end, before we get kicked off and get in trouble. Who are your favorite 70 rock band, top 5?
Can from Germany. Who else? Well, I guess Television. from New York.
Yeah.
I guess you have to put Witch in there because they are. Who else? Let's see. Damn.
Come on.
The Stooges, but that's like not really 70s, although it is. And just put them the Ramones because I can't think of anybody else right now.
Okay, and favorite music documentaries, and ones maybe that inspired you for this one.
Dig on the Brian Jonestown Massacre and the Andy Warhols is definitely one of my favorite music documentaries. I actually, from when I started watching working on the film, I decided not to watch any music documentary at all because I didn't want to be like inspired or like, not necessarily inspired, but like do that. But I must say, and it would be stupid not to mention it, that Searching for Sugarman, which there's a lot of similarities with the film, was one of them. I had seen that in London actually in 2012, actually around when I discovered Witch, one of these secret cinema things where we went there and like they showed the film. I had no idea who Rodriguez was. And then after the film, like he came on stage and played. And I was like, well, that's the coolest thing. I need to do that somehow. And we actually managed to do that with Witch once last year in Moscow at a Red Bull Music Festival there.
Yeah.
We played the film and then we went on stage and like it was such good energy because everybody knew all about it and then you see the band right away. So
you've got you've got to do that. That's such a cool thing, isn't it? I was going to say that as well. You should try and do something like that. That's amazing.
Want to do it for sure.
So how can people watch the documentary? When are they able to?
Well, they have to wait a little bit longer, but we're in the process of securing distribution, which will mean that the film will be available pretty much globally in the autumn. So a couple more months, and then you'll be able to see it digitally worldwide, hopefully.
Amazing. Gio, thank you so much. The documentary was funny and honest and charming and charismatic, and I loved it. And anyone that's watching, you're going to really enjoy it as well. It's called We Intend to Cause Havoc. So we're going to be back at 5:30 with Musicity Presents, or maybe Music City. I don't know. It's one word. I'm confused by it. But it's going to be back at 5:30. It's a project for London Festival of Architecture and Make Music Day, taking audiences on musical and architectural journey across South London with a live performance from rising French electronic producer and DJ Neographic is along Sierra Leone British poet and rapper Brother Portrait. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. Gio, thank you.
Thank you,
for
Jack.
being involved. Speak soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.